One. And we're live.
Hooray!
Hello, everyone. Geekly Dose crew here. As with every new episode now that we record, we're doing these online now. We're streaming the episodes. So if you're lucky enough to be tuning in here, you get bonus. So anything that we discuss at this point in the show will not be included in the actual podcast. So just remember that there's always a little bonus here for you. On today's episode, though, we're going to talk about E3, and we should have a very huge surprise for that, but we're kind of going to be working on making that happen while we do this, and there may be a moment to where we kind of have to take a step back and maybe take a few minutes to coordinate that, but for now, I think we're just going to get on with it, and recently we've been doing trailer overdoses for the little bonus, and since this is an extra, and I know we've already done a trailer overdose for the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film, but they just released a new trailer and it's a lot bigger and we see a lot more stuff in it, so we kind of feel like we should talk about it a little bit more, so we're going to do that again, but now we're doing the bigger trailer, and once again this is all just bonus, so we're trying not to retread the same things that we said before, but I felt that our listeners. I felt that
I was waiting for that one.
I felt like our listeners may want to know our opinions on this trailer, since it's probably going to be the final theatrical thing. Maybe we might get one more after this.
That's number 2.
Yeah, it probably won't be too much more, though. I think this pretty much gives us the best idea of what this film's going to be like and everything. Do you agree?
I think so. I like it. I like turtles.
Yeah, so we're going to go into that. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, pull it up on YouTube, Teenage Mutant. All right. See, this is why we haven't started recording the actual episode yet, because a lot of times there's some stuff that needs to be, we need to warm up.
Yes.
Right? And that's what's going on now.
Learn how to use our mouths for 5 seconds.
Yes, so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles trailer number 2 is the one you want to look up on YouTube, because that's the one that we are about to dissect and such.
Should be pretty easy to find. It's posted about 3 days ago on their YouTube page, so shouldn't be too difficult.
Make sure you look for the most recent one, otherwise you'll be looking at the older other one. And there's an international one too, but that's not the one that we're doing.
Right.
So it'll say international in the title. So make sure you just put up the regular one. It's on the TMNT Movies YouTube channel. So.
All right.
Here's your bonus trailer overdose. This big ass Turtles trailer.
Ready?
Yeah.
Surveillance is showing heavy Foot Clan activity.
We're taking hostages. Let's rock and roll.
Okay. So, I mean, we've already gotten some newer stuff in there.
And you see a little bit more, I mean, not a whole lot, but a little bit more of the new Foot Clan.
Mm-hmm.
They look a lot more like urban, not urban soldiers, not so much ninjas.
Yeah, like they're obviously going to be more of a sort of a militant, sort of a
faction,
terrorist type of group this time around, which we kind of talked about that before. It makes more sense than having them all be ninjas. I mean,
right.
But with that being said, I think there will be some ninja action on the side of the Foot Clan too. So.
Sure.
But from the looks of this, it looks like the Turtles actually have this elaborate lair that has technology in it with monitors. I mean, we're assuming that that's who those voices were.
Right. And
they were monitoring what's going on in the subway system. I mean, I don't know who else would be, but it looks like it was them. So what do you think of that? What do you think of them having this elaborate sort of thing to where they can like monitor and see what's going on around the city and stuff?
Well, I remember the old underground lair from the old live action movies, and I always thought it was a pretty cool thing. I mean, that's kind of, the underground lair thing is very atypical and of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle universe, so I don't see how it's out of the ordinary, any different. So that's a good thing. I think that's good that they stayed with some of the original, what we're kind of used to. So.
And plus, I think it'll tie into Donatello and all of his gadgetry and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure he'll be responsible for, putting a lot of that stuff, getting it to function and all of that.
Right.
And plus, once again, this is assuming that we're right about this. It may just be something else, because
Sure.
sometimes trailers just combine random shit and then it's not at all in the right context.
Right.
That'll be in the film.
Assuming that it's in the film at all.
And then there's that. But it stands to reason that it would kind of make more sense in some ways that they would have a way to know when things are happening.
Sure.
Because if you're just living in a sewer and you're just cut off completely from the rest of society, then how do you know when to service and when to show up and save the day and all that? So this would be an interesting way to keep them, knowing about that kind of stuff, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see them grab all of their weaponry and
Right,
all that, the
which is just
usual
awesome.
weaponry.
Yeah, which is
And
awesome.
I thought it was kind of cool that, when you're looking at them picking up, Raphael picking up the swords and the sai and all that, there's multiple there. Like, okay, I'm going to take out this one tonight,
Yeah.
And so, because usually you only see, well, he's only got the 2 swords and that's it. So what do you do if one breaks, or, well, we've only got 2 pair of nunchucks, so you better be careful with them.
Right.
So, it's cool to see that they've got kind of, I guess, an armory, as it were.
Yeah.
So.
That would be awesome if they just slid open this door and it was just all this stuff.
Right.
I mean, because it would make sense that they would collect a lot of stuff too, just coming out of the sewer at night, and
Sure.
they're ninjas. So they probably just bringing back all sorts of weapons and gadgets and stuff, that they just find.
Right.
So it just adds another layer of depth to the turtles, I think. Makes them a little less two-dimensional. Some
Yeah.
more story possibilities there.
Oh yeah. All right. Let's keep going.
It's
Okay.
Star City.
So I love what we just saw, because it already says a lot about the tone of this film. I mean, one of them just threw one of these dudes through the window of a speeding train.
Subway.
Yeah, I mean that in itself is just awesome to me, because that means we won't, finally, since a lot of people are complaining about the fact that the turtles are CGI, whatever. I'm fine with it, because they'll get to do a lot more elaborate stuff that they
Right.
just couldn't do before, and so be expecting a lot more stuff like that. Things to be more brutal, more legitimate martial arts to happen.
Right.
And it's darker to think that they would throw a guy like that. He could have died, I mean,
Right.
I mean, this is gonna be some awesome turtles.
Right. I mean, how could he not die? It's a freaking speeding
Right.
subway train, and you're
Yeah.
going through the window, So it's one of those things where you can't not look at it and go, it's going to hurt in the morning.
Yeah. And I mean, and these guys have guns.
Yeah.
They have guns. This is serious. Clearly they're taking people hostage
Right.
and stuff. This is real shit here. So if they just show up and they just obliterate everyone brutally, then that'll be a win for me.
Heck yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. Like shadows in the night, completely unseen.
Who's that?
It's a camera flash.
Give me the camera.
Oh, look, he's doing his Batman voice.
Okay. I kind of love that they're talking smack, and
Yeah.
they're bringing some of current pop culture, referencing Batman and whatever into it. It kind of brings in that they're teenage, because what teenager doesn't talk? I mean, my 6-year-old plays a video game and he talks smack
Mhm.
to the young, so it's kind of, I think it's kind of funny. So
I agree.
I like it.
And I like it because, okay, we get to hear voices, and
Sure.
these, I feel pretty confident that these are the final voices now. That's Johnny Knoxville as Leonardo, which you can really hear it when he's like, back off, Raph. And
Right.
which sounds completely different from the way Leonardo talks in this scene we're about to see. I thought that was strange, but it's cool. And I mean, that whole sequence to me was awesome. I mean, she's climbing up beside the building, following them, and then they all freeze when she takes the picture.
What is that?
I mean, they're getting the turtles' personalities down. The comedy will be there. The action will be there. I've already said this. I'm excited as all hell for this film. And when I saw this trailer, I was like, I'm even more excited about it. And it's just these sequences like this that just really just awaken that turtle geek.
Oh
that's
yeah.
in me,
Is it time yet? Is it time yet?
Right.
Heck yeah.
Okay.
Shut up and take my money.
Say a word about this to anyone. If you do, we will find you.
Yeah, we'll find you. I'm sorry. That came across super creepy. Okay. We will find you though.
Can I just say that? So that Michelangelo part made me laugh so hard
Right?
every time I watched the trailer.
Yeah.
Because the way he just kind of threw it in the end, we will find you though. I love that. I love that, man. Listen, I can't even I can't fake my excitement about this. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah.
real. And that's how I know that, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not forcing some people are kind of like, well, I'll go see it because it's turtles and whatever,
Right.
and I don't have to force it. Like it's just genuinely coming out of me that I'm just excited about the film.
Right.
Okay, freeze frame on Michael Bay's name. We all know. Okay, we know. Please, for the love of whatever deity you believe in, we know Michael
Right.
Bay is the producer of the film. We know this, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna suck. Okay, say what you want about Michael Bay. All his films make 300 million plus. Like everyone hates him, but yet his movies make tons of money.
Right.
So even the people that hate him are still going to see the films because there's something you like about it. Okay, there may be a lot you don't like, but there's something you do like about it, and I think that's what we'll get in this film. Basic martial arts action. That's all I want. It's a lot of geek stuff.
Yes.
I think we're going to get it.
I think so too. I think this, as apprehensive as we all were in the beginning, especially I know there was a lot of people that were like, oh, the faces and with the CGI and everything. But I think everybody's gotten kind of accustomed to it. I think people are starting to go, okay, yeah. And I really think it's going to be good. It's going to be really good.
Yeah, it's one of those things to where, you'll get used to the way they look. I mean, yeah, they look weird now because you're used to seeing one type of turtle for the most part for like 20 years. They all, even though there were different cartoons and stuff, they all pretty much had the same type of structure and how their faces were shaped and all that. And the second someone changes that, you're going to think that it looks stupid or ugly or whatever.
Sure.
But, 10 minutes into this film, you'll be used to their faces.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not used to it already, I'm used to it already. I mean, they have to look like real turtles, and that's all that's important to me.
Yeah, but they have to look somewhat humanoid as well. So I mean, there has to be some kind of happy medium, and I think they got it real well.
Yeah.
So, okay,
all right.
Let us continue.
My sons, I have trained you your whole lives to protect the city above. But I fear you are not ready for its greatest threat.
Okay. So we just got, a bunch of shots of all of the four turtles. And they were kind of hiding Donatello and Raph in the previous trailers.
Right.
So we get the most look we've got at them so far in this trailer. And they look awesome. I mean, they also released like these posters too. Before they released this trailer, you had to unlock each poster for each turtle by tweeting. You had to tweet something about it, and they would, and eventually they unlocked them all, and then that's when they released the trailer. So we've gotten a lot of clear shots of the turtles now. I'm still excited about it.
Right.
I still love the fact that they all have their own type of like style.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, man, because I've been reading the comments, and people they hate it. They hate the fact that they have their own style, and I'm like, why is that a bad thing? I don't understand.
Yeah. I mean, well, and it goes back into they're supposed to be teenagers. Every teenager is going to have their own style. They're going to want to do their own thing. I mean, who hasn't seen some broody goth teenager running around with black lipstick? I did it for a little while, for Pete's sakes, And so,
it's just
I don't know.
nitpicking. I mean,
yeah, I think so, and I don't think they should be all completely and utterly uniform and should all look the same, with the exception, well, the only reason you can tell them apart is because this one's using this weapon and this one's got this color bandana over their eyes and da-da-da.
And that's typically what it's always been. I mean, I take that back. In the original Turtles movie, the Turtles were distinctive enough. Like some of them, their faces were fatter than others and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and I've always
and the way
loved
they
that.
would walk and carry themselves.
Yeah.
I mean.
And in the later cartoons, they started to do that too. Like they would make each turtle like a different shade of green and stuff like that.
Right.
So this isn't really doing anything drastically different from that. You know, it's just distinguishing them a little bit more because this is live action. And I think anything that they can do to elevate each individual personality visually is a good idea. And that's what we're getting.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, okay, whatever. Donatello's wearing goggles. Why is that a big deal? I don't. He's a geek. He's
fits.
a fucking geek.
Yeah, it fits. It makes sense.
If they had Donatello wearing like, you know, something that wasn't relevant to his personality, I might be angry about it. But so far, everything fits. So, I mean, there's nothing to really complain about. Now,
get over it.
Yeah, since we stopped here, let's talk about this a
The
little bit.
Man in Shadow.
Speculation as to this. I believe at this point, you know, the guy Eric Sachs, who up until this point was always believed to be a Rokusaki because his name is like, you know, the English version of it or whatever. But he's talking to some guy about like upgrading his suit or something like that. So now everyone's wondering, is that Orokusaki
and if
in the shadow?
I mean, we're still pretty well in shadow, but I mean, looking around the mouth area, looks like Homeboy's had some damage here.
Right.
So, you know, that.
And this is.
I mean, unless they threw Scorpion or Sub-Zero up in here, I mean, that's a Shredder to me, because why else would he need the piece to go around his mouth and jaw?
Yeah, so I mean, this just proves even more that a lot of the things that people were getting angry about in the beginning, like I've been saying this from the beginning, is that you don't know how it's going to play out.
Right.
This stuff can change. Who knows? Maybe Orokusaki was in the film the whole time, and everybody's complaining about Shredder being white. He may not even be Shredder.
Right.
This guy, you know.
We're jumping to conclusions.
Yeah, right. And we just don't know who's who yet, and there's going to be some surprises in there.
Yeah.
You know, and this may be one of them. Now, some people are also saying that that's probably like Krang's body or something. That's a little bit of a stretch, I would say.
Quite possibly.
I don't think it's that, but I think it's, you know, it's implying, they're implying that that's like the actual Orokusaki there, because he looks Asian. I mean, we can kind of see what he looks like there a little bit. And I'm sure someone has lit him up in Photoshop, you know, on the internet, and it's probably an Asian guy, so it may actually be him.
Who knows?
But we'll see. You know, you gotta wait for the movie, see how it pans out. So.
I wanted to be really mean and stereotypical and go, he looks really tall for an Asian, but that's mean. But Shredder was tall, and he was Asian, so there you go, breaking stereotypes all over the place.
Right.
So.
I mean.
Taking your armor to the next level.
Shredder.
Dang you! Holy shit!
All right, let's talk about that, because that was, even though there was a photo of Shredder that kind of leaked or whatever a little bit before the trailer was released. This is really our first look at Shredder, and I think it's awesome, man. Because is it different? Hell yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
But is it cool? Yes.
Heck yeah.
To me, because you know what that says to me is that, okay, let's just take it from this perspective, right? We've seen the turtles.
Right.
They're massive.
Right.
They're obviously mutant turtles, and they're really powerful. So that makes you kind of wonder, well, how well would just a guy in a regular suit do against the four of them? You know, like.
Right.
I mean, I don't care how many blades he has on his suit. Would he really stand that good of a chance against four mutant turtles and a badass mutant rat too? Probably not. So to me, that says, how do we make Shredder more of a threat? Something that will be actually, you know, a challenge for them. And this is a hell of a way of doing it, by making this mechanical suit thing. I mean, yeah, people are immediately, you know, saying Transformers.
I don't think it's.
I mean, the suit transforms.
No, but and I mean, he's saying upgrade his suit. Upgrade it how? I mean, how much of that is mechanical and how much of that is just armor? I mean, yeah he's kind of pulling a little bit of an Edward Scissorhands there, you know, before he throws the knives. But it's still, I mean, he looks badass.
Yeah, I mean, even if yes, you have to reach a point to where you can distinguish and say it is very much different from anything we've ever seen of Shredder.
Oh yeah.
But you can't look at that and tell me it looks stupid.
No.
He looks awesome.
I wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley, I can tell you that.
Right. And look at the scene. I mean, it's Splinter versus Shredder, and look how much smaller he is compared.
Right.
Man, that's another thing. Splinter's going to whoop a lot of ass in this film.
Yeah, it's gonna be like
It's gonna be the coolest thing ever.
it's like when Yoda fought the first time, and we're all going,
right. It's gonna be that same feeling,
right?
Because he's so like old and stuff, but he's like at the same time,
agile and nimble.
Right. He's Splinter.
Because he's right. Well, in that too.
So yeah, and the fact that he even says we're going to upgrade your armor stands to reason that we're going to see an earlier version of the armor, which probably will look a lot more like the regular Shredder outfit.
Which
so they'll
may
still
have been
adjust that.
That may have been the glimpse that we saw in the first trailer when we saw Eric and the
he was looking
suit.
at
Yeah, was just like in a tube or whatever. And so that could be the earlier version, and this is the later version, the upgrade.
That's the thing about these movies now, is that they like to show progression. They like to show growth. The characters evolve, like they don't. Lately, they haven't been just starting off the movie with everything on the table. They kind of build to it. I'm trying to think of an example of that now. Like,
it's almost like they're giving you 3/4 of the movie before you even see it. To some extent, and 3/4 might be a little bit generous, but they still want to give you enough to hook you in to see how you get from point A to point, we'll say R, and so, but they skip a lot of letters in between, and show you stuff from all over the place. So, I mean, it still just looks awesome.
Yeah, it's an evolution, Awesome. Like if we were going to get the exact same stuff that we've got before, what would be the point of rebooting the franchise?
Right.
I mean, do we really want the last live action film that we got was Turtles in Time?
No, let's not.
And everyone hated that film, but yet everyone wants to complain about this one. This movie's not going to be worse than that one. I guarantee you.
No, it's not.
So
the only thing that and this is just from a silly standpoint, the only thing that I'd like to see them bring back from the first, I think it was the first one, was at the very end of the first Turtles movie. Shredder comes up with, not Shredder, Splinter. Thank you. Comes up with Cowabunga. Ha ha ha, I made the funny. I don't know why, but I'd love to see that. I don't think it'll happen. This is so much darker. It's not as comedic. Well, you're probably not going to see it. But I don't know why, but I love that part of the movie. Ha ha ha, I made the funny. Probably because he was just so serious throughout the entire movie. And then at the very end, ha ha ha. So people, I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah, well, I mean, people, fans love Easter eggs. And when there's a reboot of something, they know that fans love to be reminded of the original.
Right, so it could happen.
Like I watched. This is off topic, but I watched the new RoboCop like last week, the newer one. So they referenced the original one by having him say some of the same stuff, and it's like they didn't have to do that, but they do that because it reminds the fans of the thing that they loved in the beginning.
Right.
So I would not be surprised if there were a couple things taken from the original film and put in here like that, or something else.
Right. It'd be nice, but. Okay, keep going. And I love that Donatello wears glasses.
Right?
Glasses.
You must stop, Shredder. Together, you are stronger than he can ever be.
Let's go save my brothers.
Neil's in trouble!
Poor turtle. One's fighting a robot samurai. Why not?
Okay, that's not there. So there, a lot of stuff there. Once again, we kind of talked about this before. The scale of the film. I mean, that showed a lot of the scale.
Yeah.
Meaning just like exactly what type of a threat we're going to be dealing with here, which I love everything about it. I love that it's not going to be contained to just one little adventure on the side that no one else really knows about. Like it's a big deal. I mean, look at this. Like Splinter's going to be out of commission for a little while, which was one of the best parts of the original film when Splinter got kidnapped and like how emotional that was, and they were all like around
and then Raphael got hurt and he didn't want to talk to anybody.
And that movie was awesome, and then there will be more of that in this film.
Yeah.
You can tell just by looking at this. And Ralph is massive. Raph is massive, just as I knew he would be.
Heck yeah.
Um,
And that's an awesome skateboard.
yeah, I mean,
I can't skateboard for crap. Every time I try, it comes right out from under my feet. I land on my ass. But I would want to try that skateboard.
And it's just little things like that. It just shows this is 2014 now.
Heck yeah.
Like, the technology has come a long way. They could have had him riding a regular skateboard, but if you
Right.
can add some rockets to it, why not? Because not only that, like once
Because
again,
reasons. That's why.
it ties into Donatello being a
Right.
geek again, right? Because he
Right.
probably had something to do with that.
Right. And the nerdy glasses. And I just picked up on this as Jesse's, stopping it every half a second. They're tortoise shell glasses.
Tortoise shell
His glasses are that tortoise shell brown. They're tortoise shell glasses. So I thought that was kind of funny. Can you see it with the highlights? They're tortoise shell glasses.
Little things like that.
Right.
I love it. And look how thin Donnie is too.
Yeah.
I mean, because once
Which
you
would
talked
be
about this before,
atypical of
Right.
most geeks. Not this
Yeah.
one, but
if he's the geekier one, it stands to reason he's going to be less interested in working out.
right.
I mean, he's still going to obviously be a ninja like everyone else, but it's the best thing.
Right.
It is the best thing to give these turtles individual personalities and looks. I
Sure.
just don't see how anybody could be against that.
I don't know.
I just don't get it.
I don't know.
But anyway,
So they're aliens.
No, that's stupid. They're turtles.
Is there anything else we should know about them?
They're ninjas.
and that was just silly, but I'm glad it establishes the tone once again. This movie is not going to take itself too seriously. It is about 4 mutant turtles and a mutant rat.
Right.
So we can have Megan Fox at the end saying something like that, and obviously that was a direct reply to the backlash about people thinking that the turtles were going to be aliens because Michael Bay said something about it.
Right.
And I guarantee you they added that line after that.
Right.
No, that's stupid. They're not going to be aliens. They're turtles.
Right.
That was Michael Bay saying, we told you guys from the beginning.
It's not gonna be aliens.
Okay.
We're not aliens.
So, I mean, that's not to say he didn't change his mind
Right.
after the backlash, but still, that's exactly what they were addressing with that. So,
And Whoopi Goldberg. I mean,
and then Whoopi Goldberg's in there, and Will Arnett.
yeah.
And,
I thought Will Arnett initially was going to be Hockey Dude. And
really?
I initially I was like, that's
You
kind
thought he
of
was
a
gonna be
weird
Casey
thing.
Jones.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be Casey Jones. I was like, that's just kind of weird. And then when I started reading that he was going to be her cameraman, I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. Like, I don't see him as Casey Jones at all.
He's gonna be what's the guy's name? Vern or something?
Yeah,
Ah.
it was Vern.
Yeah.
You
Like,
know what I mean, Vern? You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Vern was in the original cartoon.
That's right. I remember that now. Now
Yeah,
that
he
you
was
said
always
something.
like really flamboyant and like kind of over the top. That's what I
Oh yeah,
remember
that'll be
about
perfect.
him.
So.
But yeah. So I mean, those are our new thoughts on Turtles. I am completely
stoked.
excited about it, and everyone who's hating on it, hey,
Oh,
you know what?
Vernon.
Vernon, yeah.
Burn, and there we go.
Vernon's theme. Oh, you had a theme? Listen to Vernon's theme now on YouTube
I think someone made that up.
from the 87. Oh no, that's real. I remember it now.
Kind of a
That was a
bumbly
weird
dork.
noise, though.
I think it's because they're looping it
Uh,
and they didn't cut
cutting it from
they
different
didn't cut
spots.
everything tight.
Whoa.
what a weird thing to add to the YouTube mess.
And we think Whoopi is playing her boss. That's
Right.
what it seems like. So yeah, it'll be cool. I mean,
Good
you know,
stuff.
once again, everybody's complaining about Megan Fox, but go back and listen to our other episode, and I'll go into detail on why I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah.
Especially now that I'm watching it, I'm like, I think it'll be fine. So that was a bonus trailer overdose for you. Remember that this will not be included in the actual podcast episode. This is only bonus for those of you who are watching on YouTube and come along later on and want to check it out and everything like that. So we still have the actual episode coming up, but there are a couple things we have to check into first. So we're going to sign off for a couple minutes, or I think we will still be live on YouTube, but we're just going to
You're not going to hear a thing.
Right. You're not going to hear anything for a while because we got a couple things to organize. So if you have to get up and go get a snack, you're watching this, now would be the time. But come back in a couple minutes. We'll begin the E3 episode of Geekly Dose.
And if you have any questions, concerns while you're waiting, feel free to email us at geeklydose@gmail.com, or you can tweet us at awesomepods, and we'll throw that in there.
Please do that. Get those in, and they'll be ready for us to address when we return.
Let's all
The
go
best
to the
way
lobby.
yeah.
Let's all go to the lobby. Lobby and have a
All right,
Yes,
see you
tweet
in a
us.
minute.
That's the best way to contact us. I know
Yes.
some people are leaving comments on this YouTube stream, but we can't really see that.
Yeah, not as quickly as we would
Right.
like.
Yeah,
So.
it's much easier to see tweets.
Grab a snack. Geekly Dose episode 41 coming up in a minute.
We'll be back.
Hello, YouTube. You guys still with us? Sorry about all that delay. We had some things we had to work out, and it seems as if that plan that we were aiming for is not actually going to happen. But we're still going to record an episode, and it's not going to be E3. We're going to hold off on that because that surprise that we had is really going to be worth it. So we're going to hold off until we can work out all of the details on that. But since you're here already, and since we congregated, we're still going to give you your geekly dose because that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
So stay tuned for the actual episode to start in just a moment. There's still time for questions too, by the way. Tweet us at AwesomePods if you have any.
All right, let's do this.
I better
Ready?
pull that up so that we can get it too.
What's that?
Pull up the Twitter.
Oh, it goes to our phones.
Oh. Yeah, aren't you special?
All right, you ready?
Sure.
Welcome to Geekly Dose. I'm your producer, Jesse Sedgley, and now your hosts, Tim Bridgewater and Caitlin Franks.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of Geekly Dose, which is, of course, your number one spot for all things geek. That includes movies, games, and comics. Maybe if we have time to squeeze, I don't know, geek stuff. As of late, mostly movies. I am one of your hosts. My name is Tim Bridgewater. I'm an actor, screenwriter. You can find me on Facebook.com/Tim Bridgewater. Also, Tim Bridgewater 2. And, of course, I'm joined with my co-host, Miss Caitlin Franks.
Hello there. I'm Caitlin. I'm a mom. I'm a gamer, a karaoke enthusiast. I enjoy long walks on the beach. I don't know. After our discussion from the intros last week, I felt like I kind of needed to add something.
Right,
I'm
okay.
like, because I'm still not as cool as Tim. So, you know, I figured I'd throw, mostly PC gamer, but yeah, I like stuff.
Well, I am also
I
a
like
karaoke
stuff.
enthusiast. So,
Yes. I'm so
yes.
upset I wasn't with you Wednesday night, but that's
Oh,
neither
yeah.
here nor there.
yeah, I may mention that a little bit. A couple things are going to change from what if you like the Awesome Podcast Network page, you probably saw a post that this was going to be an E3 podcast episode, which we're still going to do, but the plans have changed a little bit. We're not going to do that in this episode because the big surprise that we had lined up, it kind of fell through, but we're still going to work it out, and we didn't really want to do it without that because it's just really important to give you the best possible aspect of it, and you will get that, but not on this episode. So, we're going to talk a little bit more. Well, let me just talk about it now. First of all, I'm going to do our geek out and talk about a couple things that Caitlin and I have done that are geek related in the past week or ever since the last episode. Then we have an email that we're going to address, a little bit about Mortal Kombat, a little bit about He-Man in that email, so we're going to address those questions. And then we're going to go into there's a pretty substantiated rumor about the new DC movie lineup. Right. That people are speculating that DC is going to come out at like San Diego Comic-Con and just announce all this shit and just be like, Marvel, what? That is what everyone is speculating on, and the rumors are very strong, and they're coming from what is a reliable source,
or at least has been as of late.
Right. So everyone's even like, people are reporting on it because they're like, oh, that site has never been wrong, So it seems like it's going to be true. So we're going to talk about it. Of course, not saying that any of it is going to happen, but we're just going to give our opinions on it and then, our speculations on our thoughts on it if it does.
Right.
So let's just go ahead and get on
and then
into
some
it.
DC TV stuff that we'll kind of tag on at the end.
Yeah, we'll kind of throw that in there as well.
Yeah.
So let's start with Geek Out. And what was your...
I just finished all 5 or 6, I can't even remember, seasons of Chuck. Mm-hmm. Which, if you're not familiar with the show, it stars Zachary Levi, Adam Baldwin, who most everybody knows. He voiced Superman in some of the animated cartoons. He was also Jane in Firefly. I'm a huge Browncoat, so and I love the Whedonverse. So you throw anybody from the Whedonverse in front of me, I'm like, okay, I'll watch that. Mm-hmm. So watched all of the episodes. Chuck, mild-mannered, regular guy, works at the Buy More. His friend that got him kicked out of college sends him this email on his birthday. Next thing you know, he's downloaded an entire computer to his brain, and he now has to work for the CIA and the NSA and become a spy. And it's the harrowing tales of poor Chuck and this computer in his brain. Really awesome series. Really, it kind of, it hits, you know, mystery and sci-fi and action, and it really jumps into a whole, you know, there's some romance in it, and it's really cool. And you know, I've always liked Adam Baldwin, but I kind of had a crush on him by the end of the last season, so it was kind of weird. I'm like, I've never looked at Adam Baldwin quite like that before. But I kind of like it. So, you know, it's a really great show. I really didn't want to watch the last episode because it was like, it's going to be over. There's nothing left. Right. Game over, man. So, but I really enjoyed it. And I'm getting ready to start Game of Thrones. I know I'm perpetually late to the party. I find out about things usually after the fact. And so I'm late on the bandwagon. But me and a friend of mine are supposed to jump into it. And I think we're going to, like maybe this weekend, maybe next weekend, she's going to come over and we're going to binge out on as much as we can watch in a weekend without killing each other or neglecting our children. So, yeah, that's kind of my geek out for the week.
Well, you know, I think I talked about this last time when you brought up Chuck. I've never actually watched it, but everything you say about it makes it sound good, that it has all these different elements in one show, which is good. Of course, I do watch Game of Thrones, and the season finale just happened too long ago, which we won't really talk about that. But I am so excited that you're gonna watch it because I think you'll love it. And I didn't watch it from the beginning either, you know. So I was late technically. I think when I started watching it, there was already like 3 seasons out, and someone gave me HBO Go password, and I went back and watched them all, and I fell in love with it. Right. So yeah, it's man. Game of Thrones is like my favorite show ever, almost at this point.
I'm excited. Oh, well, let me add a geek fail to my geek out real quick. Okay, going back to Chuck, his love interest and his CIA handler is Sarah, who is played by, oh good lord, I'm gonna screw her name up so bad, Yvonne Strahovski, and I kept looking at her while we were, you know, my husband would come in every so often. He's like, "Are you watching Chuck again?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm on a Netflix binge. Bite me," you know. And he kept looking at her, going, "I know her," and I kept doing the same thing. I'm like, "I know her too. How do I know her? She looks so familiar." So finally, about the 2nd or 3rd season, I decided, you know, because I dual screen my monitors at home, and I was watching on the computer, you know, going back and forth watching and playing World of Warcraft and doing it all at the same time. So I pulled up on my second screen and just IMDb, you know, pulled her up. She is the character and voice actor for Miranda in Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3. Oh. I mean, and once I had read that, it was like, duh, because I had played Mass Effect on 2 and 3 on PC. I mean, and you can, like, the entire body type. I mean, they put her in a suit with ping pong balls all over it and used the same person. They just colored her hair dark. I mean, even the lips, the entire. And I'm sitting there going, I know her. How the flip do I know her? Bugged the snot out of me, and it did him too until we finally pulled it up, and I was like, oh, geek fail, geek fail. So, but yeah, it was kind of cool to see the real version. So if they ever do a Mass Effect live action movie for some odd reason, they've already got Miranda right there. Yeah. So it was kind of cool, but kind of duh.
Well, we all have those moments, you know. We're geeks, but that doesn't mean we're, you know, not going to slip up every now and then.
Well, and I think we've all figured out my memory isn't the greatest. So.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
I just remembered that I didn't mention this, but as with every episode of Geekly Dose now, we stream these live over at youtube.com/awesomepods. We did that with this episode as well, and as usual, we do a bonus that you will only hear and see there. You won't hear it on this episode, so you go over and find Geekly Dose episode 41 on YouTube, the video, if you want to get a bonus trailer overdose, which we're not going to do a trailer overdose for this episode because that kind of was it, and our plans didn't really go the way we thought they were going to go. But if you still want to get that, head over to YouTube, look it up. We talked about the newest trailer for the Ninja Turtles film. We know that we already broke apart the one before that, but we got a new trailer that showed us a lot of new stuff, so there were new things that we wanted to say. So if you're curious to see what our thoughts are on the newest Turtles trailer, head over to YouTube and check that out.
Yeah.
Now, okay, back to Geek Out. I just want to take a moment to say that as of today, Friday, June 27th, The Legend of Korra is back on the air with a brand new season on Nickelodeon. For those of you who don't know, I actually do another podcast called Republic City Report. It is the Legend of Korra podcast. There's a Facebook page for that. Just look up Republic City Report. And they didn't announce it until like a week ago. I mean, it was like they just popped up one day and were like, "Oh yeah, next week, new season of Legend of Korra." Like, wow.
Here's a trailer.
it was like the shortest notice ever. But I do have listeners there, so if any of you happen to cross over between that podcast and this one, don't worry, I'm back for a brand new season. I know that they're doing this thing because for some reason they always do this with Legend of Korra, but they're showing the first 3 episodes tonight.
What?
So that means I'm going to have to do 3 podcast episodes, which I promise you I won't be able to do this tonight because, well, I have to drive to Monroe early in the morning. It's like 4 hours away from here for work. I may try to do 1 tonight. I mean, all 3 episodes will be put up, but they'll not all go up at the same time. You have to give me a couple of days between each episode because I'm going to be out of town for a little while. But yeah, if you're a fan of Legend of Korra, which is of course basically a sequel to The Last Airbender, new season of that. I'm excited about it. Check it out. Send me an email, republiccityreport@gmail.com. Any questions? Because that's sort of the type of a podcast that it is. I really rely on emails for every episode, and so far I've been getting them. So I even got a few when I was off. So now we're back in it. So Legend of Korra fans, check me out over there. Now I want to talk just a little bit about what Caitlin mentioned earlier. It was kind of a it's kind of a geek out in a way.
For me, it was a geek out
because
I'm a huge fan. I'll let you say, and we'll go into it.
So if anyone has seen the film Pitch Perfect, you know that film was, well, you probably don't know this actually, but that film for the most part was made in Louisiana, and that's where we're located. And they're in the middle of actually filming the sequel right now. So I usually go do live band karaoke every week, every Wednesday at a bar called Boudreaux and Thibodeau's that's downtown Baton Rouge. And I went this week, and before I went, I already knew there's a possibility that some people from the film were going to be there because I'm friends with one of the bartenders, and she tagged me in a post, and she was like, "Oh, we heard that Pitch Perfect people are going to be here tonight," and I'm just thinking,
didn't call me. I'm so mad at you right now.
But I didn't know. You
didn't realize how big of a geek I was over it.
No, I had no idea.
God.
And not only that, I mean, I didn't know if she was just joking around.
Right.
But I probably should have known that she wasn't. But I went there, and that had nothing to do with why I went. I go every week.
Yeah.
And I have seen Pitch Perfect, and I thought it was an okay movie. I mean, it was fun, But my biggest thing is that I was like, I'm like a huge Anna Kendrick fan.
Yeah.
So
she's awesome.
Yeah, I just love her. It doesn't matter what she's in. So I was like, well, that would be cool if she for some reason showed up there.
Right.
So we go there, and an hour or so goes by, I get up and sing a song, and everybody's like, I guess they're not coming. And I was like, well, I guess they're not coming. Wow. So then a couple minutes later, three girls walk in the door, and one of them I immediately recognize, and it ended up being Brittany Snow, which I don't remember which character she plays in the movie because I've only seen it once.
Yeah.
But I know Brittany Snow because she's been acting for years.
Right.
So I recognized her, but I wasn't positive. I'm like, that kind of looks like Brittany Snow. And then I had to kind of remind myself whether or not she was actually in Pitch Perfect, which she was.
Right.
So then I was like, oh, it is her. So it started with her and 2 other people, and then eventually Rebel Wilson showed up.
Oh, she's so awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, and it was just, it was just them, and it wasn't a big deal. I mean, yeah, they kind of roped their little section off or whatever, but they didn't stay behind that rope. They came down and hung out with everyone else in front of the stage. They sang. They did karaoke. Awesome. I mean, they had a good time. But I was just standing outside, and I was like, that looks like Rebel Wilson walking up to the door.
Yeah.
And it was. And she just was walking up the street by herself, and But I went in there, and we were I was telling everybody all night. I was like, there's no way Anna Kendrick's gonna show up here. I mean,
right.
She's got to be too busy to come hang out at this bar. So a friend of mine comes up, and he taps me on the shoulder. He's like, dude. And I'm like, don't you fucking say it.
Don't screw with me,
like,
dude.
Don't you even say it.
Don't
He's
play
like,
with my emotions.
He's like, dude. And I turned around and bam, she was there. Yeah. And it was cool. It was cool because she's just so petite and like hot and incredibly talented.
And she seems so cool and laid back. And I know our mutual friend Josh, he ran into her somewhere and like they passed each other going to the bathroom and she's just like, hey, I like your hair. Yeah. He's like, yeah, cool. We walked off completely and then just kind of went, holy crap, that was Anna Kendrick. Yeah. So, yeah, because that's kind of how Josh is. It's just kind of like, yeah, oh, thanks. Wait a minute.
Right.
So,
yeah. But no, it was very cool, and I didn't get a chance to talk to any of them. I mean, I could have, but you know, you always think you would do something, and then when you get there, it's like, I don't want to be that dude.
Right.
Now, you know, like, so it was really just them and like a couple of the other people from the crew, and there was another actor who his name was Joe something, and I had seen him in something, but he talked to us for like a long time. We were outside talking to him.
Awesome.
Someone said he was in the 40-year-old version, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, that was just, you know, that was the kind of a little geek out thing, I guess. It was cool.
That would have been uber geeky for me. So random back, Tim's known me, for anybody who doesn't know, Tim's known me, geez Louise, like 10 years.
I feel like it's been at least
12 years. Because, I mean, Clint and I will have been married 10 years, and you knew me before then. So we've known each other about 13 years. Yeah. So back in high school, I was in choir. And I did show choir and a cappella. So that movie like really kind of spoke to me because that was stuff I didn't care for high school at all, but I loved doing that kind of stuff, performing and, you know, acting and being on stage and singing and all that kind of stuff. So I really kind of connected with that movie in that way. So, and one of my favorite groups, musical groups that I really love and geek out on is Pentatonics. And I found out this week Pentatonics was here and they were filming, and they are in Pitch Perfect 2, and I completely missed it. It's like, no, because they are the things that they can do. They came from a TV show called The Sing Off, which was all a cappella groups doing like remaking and redoing songs. It was really awesome. They do a version of Video Killed a Radio Star that they did on The Sing Off that is just, you're going, how is that even possible to do without a mixer, without a board, without, you know, all the technology? They did Usher's OMG, and just, I mean, they can do stuff with their voices that just doesn't even seem humanly possible. And so, yeah, I would have geeked. You can tell, I'm like gushing. I'm geeking out all over the place. We're going to need a rag. We're going to need to clean this up.
Yeah, it was very cool, and I don't get starstruck or anything like easily, because I've been around some celebrities. You know, I'm an aspiring screenwriter. I'm also an actor. You know, I'm involved in the film industry in a lot of different ways, and I've been around some people. I was a stand-in for Lenny Kravitz for like a music video that he did. Nice. So I mean, like, I've been around some.
I can see that too.
Yeah.
Especially back in the Dread days.
Right. Yeah. So I've been, you know, so I was, you know, no one. The beautiful thing about it is that no one acted like a weirdo about it.
Yeah.
It's like we knew they were there, and it was just like, we're just here to chill, and that's what it was. And no one.
They didn't act all uppity, and nobody in the bar didn't act all.
Not as far as I knew. Everybody was just there to have a good time, and that's
the point.
Yeah, I figured it would be that way. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool. Yeah, things are really picking up over here. in
little Hollywood.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, and this is a little bit off topic, but my best friend Mike, celebrities coming to his job all the time, and he saw we were talking about Game of Thrones. Lena Headey came in there one time, and I was like, oh, I might have geeked out pretty hard on that. But he said Kate Mara. You know Kate Mara?
Yeah.
Kate Mara was in there recently because they're also shooting Fantastic Four.
Right.
The new reboot here too.
Right.
And they're also shooting like Jurassic World. So if you're listening to this from another state, you know, we're kind of in the middle of a lot of this stuff right now. Like, you know, Louisiana's really taken off with a lot of this film stuff. So we're going to be getting a lot of celebrity sightings around here. There was another friend of mine on Facebook who actually took a picture with Michael B. Jordan. They saw him
I had a friend of mine that her uncle or cousin or somebody is a personal trainer or owns a gym or something, and he showed up there to work out and like got a picture with him as he was leaving. I'm like, go girl.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. We may be revisiting this in the future, talking about more run-ins with actors and celebrities and stuff. Yeah.
I think I might need to get my resume and headshot together. Go throw in,
Right?
get some extra work.
It's funny because I am an actor and I've been acting for years, but without an agent around here, you're not going to get in these big films. The most we can get here is just being background and stuff.
Right.
So I'm pretty content with my indie film stuff though. For now, until I have an opportunity.
There was that one indie movie you did that it was really good, and then it just kind of dropped off the face of the earth, and there should have been more of it, and just something about flashes or something.
The lights.
Yeah, that would be the one.
If you're curious about lights, head over to youtube.com/SedgleyFilms. S-E-I, not S-E-Die. You see, the truth is coming out now. That's my true hatred for Jesse starting to come out.
He's eyeballing you like, excuse me.
It's S-E-I-G-U-L-E Films on YouTube. You want to see lights. We actually just put up a version of that with commentary like yesterday or the day before. So there's some new stuff there if you want to see my acting abilities. I'm waiting on. We've got a couple other things in the works that we're in the middle of, so I'll be talking about that as they develop.
Lights too.
Oh, maybe. If the demand comes in, we'll make it.
It was cool. I really liked it.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I mean, everyone who's there, of course, people are going to tell us that. I'm not saying that you're just saying that, but I mean, the people that hated it aren't going to be like, I fucking hated that.
Well, you would hope they would.
I don't think they're bold enough. But yeah, so a lot of that stuff, a lot of stuff out there. Go there, you can see a lot of my stuff, and then you could just, once again, facebook.com/TimBridgewater2, and I can guide you to all kinds of things that I've done. Okay, so I think we're going to move on to this email that we got now.
We got an email, yay! And if you want to send us an email, it would be geeklydose@gmail.com.
That's correct.
We like emails. Emails are fun, and it gives us something to talk about. So.
Yes, and we don't get a ton, so it's like there's a really good chance that your email will be read on air if you. Oh,
sorry. Jesse's computer locked, and so we're trying to flag him without being totally obvious.
We're trying to be professional and not be like, "Hey, producer, did you pull up the screen?"
That would have been easier.
But yeah, we don't get a ton of emails, so you don't have to worry about, if I send them an email, they won't read it. No. We will read it, and we will address it, and it will be answered. Absolutely. So with that being said, let's go into this email. Do you want to read it?
Sure.
Okay. Right.
Hey guys, I'm Tony Dones from Miami Dones. I got 2 questions. Number 1, I heard there's a new He-Man movie being made. I know that it's going to be kid-friendly, but I would like to see some blood splatter. Do you think it'll be rated R or the usual PG-13? So let's just go ahead and jump into that one.
Okay, he has 2 questions. We're just going to answer that one first, and then we'll address the second one.
I hadn't heard a lot about this, which is sad because I'm a huge He-Man and She-Ra fan. There's pictures somewhere of, I think, my 3rd birthday and a She-Ra cake. I don't know. But I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard anything about it being kid-friendly. If they're going to completely reboot it and make it, because they'd have to make it a whole lot better than the Dolph Lundgren live action of 1987. I would think in my head that they wouldn't make it as kid-friendly. And the only reason that I say that is because the majority of the people who know and identify with He-Man and the Masters of the Universe or She-Ra are going to be our age, which is going to be 30 and over. And 30 is kind of pushing it because I'm 32, and it came out like when I was a toddler, once again, late to the party, but that's just because I was young. But I would, it would be really weird for it to be kid-friendly, but I mean, the things that we're saying is okay via PG-13 now probably has some blood splatter to it. I mean, I wouldn't think it would be hugely gratuitous. No. But it could be there. And also I know DC has recently started a new He-Man and the Masters of the Universe comic book. It goes back to the origins of Grayskull. I just hopped in on it in, I think, the 13th edition. They just came out with the 14th, or maybe I got the 12th and they're on the 13th. Somewhere in there. They're still fairly early within the series, and they're jumping in they're bringing in She-Ra already. So it's a really good comic. If you have a chance, run by your local comic book shop, go check it out, pick it up. It's drawn very well. It's written very well. I'm not a huge comic book person. I like them. I'm not hugely into them, but this is really good. This is going to be the one, especially for me, because it really ties back to my childhood, that I'm really going to want to grab every edition.
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents. What do you think?
Well, I mean, when Tony, when you say that it's going to be kid friendly, I'm not sure to what degree you mean that as. I mean, you can get away with a lot with kid friendliness now.
Right.
I mean, nowadays, kid friendly is the Avengers, Iron Man. You know, I mean, like, it's not necessarily like what Alvin and the Chipmunks or one of those movies where it's super kid friendly. Like, I think if they do it, it'll be more like I said, Avengers. You can get I mean, I think The Dark Knight was PG-13.
Yeah, and there's only so much. I mean, even if they do just a PG-13, there's only so much you can do with. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can still do some blood splatter with PG-13.
Yeah. It just has to be done in a certain way, and there's certain things they can't show, but they can imply it.
But even to me, PG-13, you know, I've got kids under 10, you know, and I don't see how it can be that kid-friendly if it's going to be at a minimum a PG-13.
Yeah, and once again, it kind of depends on what you mean by kid-friendly. When you say it like that, it sounds like you're thinking that it's going to be like childish, and I definitely don't think so, because as Caitlin mentioned, the main demographic for this really is the people who grew up watching the show, because it's not like He-Man is this hot property right now with kids nowadays. But with that being said, there's no way it'll be rated R, which to address your second part of the question is that there's really no reason to do that. It wasn't rated R for us who grew up watching it.
No.
You know, like, so we're not expecting that. And you wouldn't want to eliminate half of your potential box office earnings by, you know, not including kids in that. So with that being said, expect it to be somewhere around PG-13 so they can make new toys and all that kinds of stuff for kids.
Because, I mean, my kids did grow up on, because there's really, in all honesty, there's 2 versions of the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon. There was the original one that was done in the early 80s, which is what I grew up on, and we've got the box set of the DVDs on that. And then there was another one that they did in the early 2000s that had more of an anime look to it. It was really, really cool. And I want to say we may have one season on DVD. They didn't do it very long. It was on Cartoon Network. It went at like 5:30 in the frickin' morning on a Saturday because everybody's up then. But, you know, it's what would they really do that would need to generate an R rating? I mean, okay, so I'm a girl. I like romantic stuff. Everybody wanted to see Prince Adam and Tila get together. But the kid in me, the somewhat still of an innocent in me, I'd like to see them get it together, but I don't want to see them get it on. I mean, and that's going to generate an R rating.
Right.
So, yeah, let them smooch a little bit, but other than that, no.
Yeah, there's no reason for it to be made R rated. I mean, it's just not that kind of property. You know, it has survived in several iterations since its inception, being basically PG-13. And there's no, like you were saying, like you would have to add things to He-Man to make it rated R, which would be changing it, and you don't want to do that.
Right.
You don't want to have everyone cussing all of a sudden just to give it an R rating. I mean, that's what you would have to do. There's no reason for that. So
it's not like going to be like the 300 properties where you see, you know, severed heads go rolling across the floor with blood coming out of them. Yeah. You know, I mean, that's just, I don't think that's necessary.
No,
it's definitely not. Right. Yeah, bit much.
And we won't see that. So.
And with that sound bite, his second question, Mortal Kombat co-creator Ed Boon has said before this, they're trying to tie the release of the next Mortal Kombat movie with the next Mortal Kombat game, which we now know since E3 happened is going to be Mortal Kombat X. It's not actually 10. So I'm glad we got that. Since we all know now that Mortal Kombat 10, the game, is coming out June 15th, 2015, do you think the movie will also come out June 2015? I'm thinking no, because we haven't heard anything about it whatsoever. There would be rumors all over the internet. There's just no way to hide that kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. Did you say that it's officially Mortal Kombat X, the title?
Yes, from what I heard from the, I did watch
After all that back and forth,
right?
last episode.
I still think it might be the 10th game in the series, but they're
But as far as them
actually
calling it, they call it X. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, to me, that just sounds more badass.
Yeah, it was. They presented it and they presented gameplay, and we'll go into this when we actually discuss E3. But during the PlayStation presentation, they actually came out and called it Mortal Kombat X.
Okay,
so
good. But to just echo with what Caitlin was saying, first of all, I don't know that it is confirmed that Ed Boon said that they're tying in the game to a movie. Now, if you can, Tony, if you can point us to a source for that, we would gladly take a look at it.
Heck yeah.
As far as I'm aware of, I don't think any statement was ever made, at least not officially, on that, because as far as we know, there is no new Mortal Kombat game. If you listen to our, was it our last episode movie? Yeah.
I want to say it was our last episode we were talking about.
We got another email, and someone was asking if we thought they were going to make new movies, and I completely said no, at least not now, because there's no reason for it. There's no et cetera, whatever, No, you know what? It must have been the episode.
It might have been 39. Yeah. Yeah. Because we're on 41.
Because we didn't know about the game.
Right.
Because I was saying unless they make a new game or something,
right,
Mortal Kombat is not going to be this hot property. And then like a couple weeks later, they mentioned the game.
Right.
So if this game does well as the previous one, maybe they'll think about making a new one. But as far as I know, that's not happening, nor do I think it will. And if it was going to happen, I highly doubt it would be coming out in June of next year.
Yeah.
Because we would already know about it.
Right.
I mean, that's a year away. And movies have to shoot at least that far in advance to make a release date like that.
Right, especially if they're going to have any type of CGI or special effects. And, I mean, it's Mortal Kombat. You're going to have a pretty hefty dose of CGI and special effects and whatnot. So, yeah, that's going to... I don't see that happening. I mean, the last thing we saw as far as Mortal Kombat on a screen that didn't include a video game was a bunch of smaller vignettes that this guy did kind of independently. Mm-hmm. They were awesome. They were written very well. They were strung together very well. I'd love to see them kind of play with that and go into that independently of the games. I mean, you don't want to tie. I mean, there's something to be said for stringing stuff together, and this is just a random side note. This is something that I just thought about. They have confirmed that they're doing the very last Resident Evil. It's Resident Evil, the final chapter. He's in the process of writing it right now, and it's going to tie it up. And a lot of people were like, oh, we've got a lot of the same characters, but they didn't come in the same order as the video games, and there's not a lot of the same, storyline as the video games. So it can work. It can work independently. You can take the intellectual property, move it to another platform without it being exact, and still have it be real successful. Yeah. So I'd love to see them get with that guy and maybe expand on what he did to bring it to the big screen, because it was really, really awesome.
Well, we kind of talked about this. I had a love-hate relationship with that web series. I mean, I liked it in the beginning, then I eventually just started to hate it. I mean, because it really did just start to become a lot like the games, which is, I know that sounds bad when I say it like that, but if you remember the original idea that he had, Mortal Kombat Rebirth, it was grounded. They changed things. That was exciting to me. This is not exciting to me. I think Mortal Kombat works best in a game form until someone figures out a wonderful way to adapt it to live action and have it not be cheesy and all that kind of stuff. Because for the hell of it, like a week ago, I rewatched Mortal Kombat Annihilation because it came on HBO.
Right.
And we were just talking about that, and it is just as bad as ever.
Yeah.
Even more so.
The first one was still fairly decent.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it was great.
Yeah.
I still, my favorite scene has to be where Liu Kang and Sonya and Johnny Cage are walking through and they're looking for Katana, and Johnny Cage, she went this way. I can smell her perfume. And then they walk into the other room and it's completely not where they need to be. And Sonya Blade's like, I smell something. Bullshit.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part of the whole movie. And, I apologize if my children or my mother's watching this, sorry. But, I mean, it was one of the funniest parts of the whole movie. And so, I mean,
They
there's
just took all of that stuff for Annihilation and just like multiplied it times 3.
in a bad way.
Yeah, and it just wasn't. No.
No.
It's terrible.
It borderline can be.
So to kind of wrap this up, we would love to see a new movie.
Yes.
Right now, there's certainly no confirmation that there's one, and there's very little reason to even think that there will be one. Certainly not a year from now.
Right.
So Tony, we want to thank you for your email. Email us anytime. If you want to send us an email with any questions you'd like us to answer or talk about, give our thoughts on, send us an email at geeklydose@gmail.com, and we will gladly do those in the following episode.
And you can also hit us up on Twitter at AwesomePods.
That is true. And on that note, we're going to head on over to the main event, where we're going to talk a little bit about this rumored DC movie schedule.
Yes.
So I'm not exactly sure how long ago it was, but there's this website that resurfaced with a bunch of info on all of the rumored movies that DC and Warner Brothers are going to start to kind of unleash over the next couple years. You know, sort of like Marvel. We got like this timeline of how many movies they're going to do a year and what it was going to be and all that. And now, of course, DC has been trying to play catch up ever since. Right. So there's a lot of reason to believe that these rumors are true because, once again, they seem to be coming from a reliable website.
Or at least a site that's been correct after the fact in the past.
Right, yeah. And honestly, just looking at the list, it all makes sense.
Right.
So let's just take it from the beginning, and we'll just kind of go through each year and each property, and we'll kind of see, you know, whether or not we feel like it's possible, whether it's a good idea, bad idea, etc. Now, of course, the first thing on the list is the film that's already been confirmed.
Right.
And that's Batman vs. Superman for May of 2016. Which I feel like they just pushed it. Did they push it back again? Like that's.
I think so.
It's like almost 2 years from now.
Right.
It's a little bit less, but that's a long time.
It is. It's a very long time. And I mean, it's really weird because we keep getting, well, this person's going to be in it. This person's going to be in it. And this person's going to be in it. And it's almost like they're writing it as they shoot. But with the way that they're announcing, well, Gal Gadot's now going to be Wonder Woman, and Jesse Eisenberg is going to be Lex Luthor, and Cyborg, and you know, and now we've got this and this and this. So it's like, are you just kind of doing this on the fly? What's going on here? So it's kind of confusing.
Yeah. I mean, there's not really much speculation about that one because, well, we're
going to get a lot from Marvel before then. So it's kind of crazy to me that they're going to wait. I mean, we're going to get Guardians of the Galaxy. We'll probably get Avengers 2.
Yeah, Avengers 2 will be out next year.
Right. So, I mean...
Even something else. I can't think of it now because they've been doing like 2 films a year.
Probably Captain America 3. We'll probably get somewhere in there.
It's got to be that because there is no... They're talking about doing Hulk. There's no official word on a Thor 3 yet. I think they're done with Iron Man for now.
Yeah.
So it's got to be Avengers in that, or I doubt they're going to try to squeeze Ant-Man in for next year with all of the controversy there.
I know they want to. I mean, it's obvious they want to. They want to get it in so bad.
Yeah.
That's what she said. But sorry. But you know, it's really as much information and stills even that they've shown of Batman v Superman for it to wait all the way to 2016. That just seems kind of...
It's a long time. I mean, they've already started shooting this thing.
And then in 2016, we get 3 DC movies?
Yes.
According to the schedule that we're looking at, you know?
Yeah. Well, and, you know, and they're also saying that kind of along with this Batman v Superman thing is also the rumor of Jason Momoa being cast as Aquaman in that movie.
Oh my God!
Like not even in Justice League, him being cast as Aquaman in Batman versus Superman. So it's just once again rumor, very substantiated though.
I would love to see that. There's a picture when they started talking about this. I want to say HuffPost had posted the rumor on their website, and the stock photo that they used was long hair, scruffy beard. You know, he's got that scar over his eyebrow that goes like directly through the eyebrow, and he just looks. He looks damn hot. I mean, if we gotta have, you know, I mean, I know there's a lot of the drawn version of Aquaman. You know, when he looks scruffier, blonde and long hair and scruffy beard. I kind of like the darker Samoan look because this. I mean, if you think about it, it's the Samoan Islands. They're surrounded by water. They're familiar with water. So at least in my head, you know, the California surfer dude, borderline, I mean, he is a god, technically, within the universe. But to have someone who looks different than Thor, if you're going to go god to god, you know,
Agreed, yeah.
Gives it a cool look.
That's something that we kind of talked about before on just previous episodes of Geekly Dose, how with this Justice League, they really need to try to mix it up a little bit in terms of race and everything, because obviously there's a lot of different demographics out there. You don't want to just appeal to one type of a person. You want to get, you know, so that, you know, if they do that, see that as being a part of the reason. The other part of the reason, well, Jason Momoa is badass. And you haven't watched Game of Thrones yet, but once you do, if you're crazy about him now, well, wait till you start watching that.
I've seen him in other stuff. I did see when he was in Conan the Barbarian. I did watch that. It wasn't the greatest movie.
That's what I heard.
It wasn't the greatest movie, especially when you've got the old. I'm sorry, the old Conan movies were fairly decent, even if it was Schwarzenegger. You know, but yeah, we're looking at some when he was on Jimmy Kimmel.
And that's what it's pretty much confirmed.
And I don't think he would look good as a blonde anyway. I think that would look really,
I don't think they
really
would go blonde with him.
No.
Weird.
If anything, a lighter brown or something. But they could really just leave it like that.
Oh yeah, let it go au natural.
And I think it'd be a good idea, you know. And people aren't complaining as much. I tell you, people like to choose when they complain about shit. You know, Jamie Foxx as Electro. Oh, let's all fucking have a shitstorm for that. And like, no one's complaining about Jason Momoa playing Aquaman. Which you shouldn't, is what I'm saying. But
right.
Let's just try to be open-minded about every casting.
Right.
Because it's always to try to just broaden these characters and change it up. And, you know, a lot of these characters were created. Well, there was really a lot of oppression in the country. I mean, there's really nothing else to say about it. Right. Now we don't have all of that. So now let's take some of these other less popular characters that people will be less likely to freak out about and give them some different ethnicities and such.
Right. And I mean, everybody threw a hissy fit when Michael B. Jordan was cast as the Human Torch.
Oh gosh, yeah. And we haven't even seen the worst of that yet. Like,
I think there's going to be more to come.
Yeah.
I think it's ridiculous.
Totally.
Well, he's in town if you want to talk to him about it.
We'll have a long
Michael B. Jordan, if you happen to be watching us on YouTube right now, you know, just come on over. We can bring you on the show.
You can sit next to me.
Okay, well, let's we're talking about there being 3 movies tentatively scheduled for 2016. Let's move on to the next one now, and we're looking at Shazam, which I think out of all the speculation that people were doing on what DC could pull out in the next couple of years, I don't think anyone expected Shazam.
No, I don't think so either.
And it is just honestly, it's a nice surprise. Like the more I think about it, I'm like, wow, that came out of left field, and I kind of like that. Right. And honestly, they need to do some shit that no one is expecting.
Right.
You know?
It's almost like, you know, the way Marvel threw out Guardians of the Galaxy and everybody went, who?
Right.
You know, unless you've really kept up with the DC animated movies, you know, you haven't really seen or heard much from Shazam. Yeah, and they've been doing him a lot. Oh, what was that one that they just did with the whole Justice League and they introduced Cyborg? I know we've talked about it before, but I can't think of the name of it.
Animated?
War.
Okay.
War. Justice League War. They brought in Shazam for that, and it was, I mean, a lot of the animated series that's going through, they're bringing in Shazam more and more.
Yeah.
So, and which War is a great animated title. If you have a chance, go pick it up.
Yeah,
really
it's not a coincidence either that they've been kind of throwing him in there. Which, of course, some people may be a little confused. Let's take it back a little bit. This is Captain Marvel we're talking about. Okay, but they changed his name to Shazam because everyone always called him that. Right. The name of the comic was Shazam because that's what Billy Batson would say to change into Captain Marvel.
Right.
But they changed his name to Shazam because everyone thought that was his name anyway. And that's what that it makes sense. And then plus, there's the whole Marvel, Captain Marvel, and Marvel has a character that has the same name or
And
something
Miss Marvel,
like that.
yeah, it's a lot of confusion.
So it makes a lot more sense for them to just call him Shazam. Everyone calls him that anyway.
Right.
But that to me is just, I mean, if that's true, I would love that because there's so much potential there.
Yeah.
Because if there's anything I loved a lot when I was a kid was, anytime I watched a movie where a little kid got to be a superhero or something,
right?
You love that, right? And that is Shazam. That's his whole story. It's this little kid that gets to be a superhero, and there's so much marketing potential in that.
Right.
And it'll be completely different from anything Marvel has done so far, movie wise. Now we don't want it to get too kiddie.
Right.
And
they're going to have to obviously cast two different actors for the role of
right.
Shazam because you have Billy, who's a young kid, maybe about 11, 12.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Shazam himself, who is big, honking,
right.
full-grown adult, big dude. So it's going to be interesting to see how they casted and use. I mean,
what would be cool if they somehow took that kid and kind of using motion capture and facial recognition and all this, if they kind of made the grown-up version. If they just took that kid
right.
and digitally made a grown-up version of him so that he looked like the same person.
Yeah, I mean, they use that type of the technology all the time when you have missing children and they've been gone for years. They use that age progression, to take that age progression and fast forward it and see what they would look like and go, okay, let's find an actor. I would rather see them do that and say, okay, let's find an actor similar to this, maybe use some prosthetics or something like that. Kind of like what they did with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis in Looper. I knew you'd know where I was going with that. But, I mean, I would almost rather see him do that because I don't want it to be, I mean, it's already going to be CGI heavy because he transforms, with a lightning bolt. He flies around. There's going to be a lot. So I'd still rather keep some live action to it.
Yeah.
I'd rather see him use some age progression and go, okay, that's what he would look like at 30 and if he was super buff. Okay, so let's find somebody who looks similar to that, or maybe even cast a set of brothers who were already in the industry, and look similar, older and much. Of course, you'd have to go much older and much younger, or age somebody up, or something, something like that.
They'll figure it out.
So it'll be interesting.
I think they'll totally just. I was just kind of wishful thinking, sort of like that'll be cool if sort of thing.
Right.
Which sounds like an idea for a new segment. It'll be cool if I don't know, maybe.
I have to think about that.
But I'm sure it'll just be a kid and a completely different actor, and they'll just try to make them look alike, and maybe they don't even have to look alike because technically he's just becoming a completely different. Well, but no, he's still himself, and that's the cool thing about Shazam is that he still has the mind of a kid.
Right. Even when he's Shazam, he still kind of acts like a kid.
It becomes funny.
You see that in War, and it's really kind of cute. He kind of has these moments where I'm a big superhero, but I'm a kid. Yay!
Yeah, and it's just like this huge guy with powers, but he's like, that's really cool. Like he's still a kid.
It's kind of like Marvel's Deadpool, except he never breaks the fourth wall.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. There was another point I wanted to make about that. Darn it. Shazam. I don't think it. Well, okay. There's the rumor that they're trying to get The Rock to play him. That's not what I want to talk about. But
I would like to see The Rock in a comic book franchise property.
Oh yeah, agreed.
I don't think Shazam is the right one.
Me neither.
I don't.
I would like to see him in something where he could be a little bit more brutal. And if they make this, it'll be one of the lighter, properties. Just because of a kid being the main character and everything like that, and the other kids want to watch it and stuff. But it's there, like I said, it's a good idea because it gives them something that Marvel isn't really doing. It's a different sort of approach, and no one's really expecting it.
Agreed.
Okay, now we were talking about them having a third film in 2016, and that is Sandman. Now, here's why I think. Well, this is the same Sandman that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is supposed to be involved in. and it's based on a comic. But to my knowledge, Sandman doesn't take place in the superhero universe. It's just a DC property, right? Like Sandman is like a completely
nothing about
different.
Sandman.
Yeah, like he's not a superhero or anything. Like I think he's a DC property, but he has his own world with his own characters and everything, and it doesn't really cross over with any of this superhero stuff.
So maybe it's just random DC movie that, I mean, it would seem weird to have just a random DC property movie that doesn't tie into this altogether. But I mean,
yeah, I think.
Who knows?
I mean, I don't think. I would hope they wouldn't try to force that. If he doesn't cross paths with them, then he doesn't need to. You know,
right.
I mean, they're going to establish this shared universe and everything, but if they don't even have to mention, if they don't mention superheroes, most people won't even know that it's a DC property, because how many people are really familiar with that? Like it can very well just be like a standalone thing, and when they tell a good darker story,
right?
And though Christmas time is a very
weird time,
but
didn't they release Sin City, the original Sin City, around Christmas time?
They may have.
I want to say that they did, or somewhere close to that, or right after.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember right off the top of my head. And the new one looks really good.
It's definitely, and that Christmas time release date for a lot of these films very rarely has anything to do with it actually being Christmas. It's just more of like a holiday season thing. People go to the movies a lot, that kind of thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case. Okay, no. So
no, I was way off. Yeah, they released it in April.
Yeah.
So maybe I watched it around Christmas. Who knows?
But I'm sure there were some very hardcore R-rated films that came out around Christmas time.
Yeah, I mean, they do weird. I mean, Kevin Smith is working on one. Shoot, it's about like the German Santa Claus, and it's like for bad kids. He like kills them. Santa Claus kills them. It's really weird, and I can't remember what it's called right now, but it's based around Christmas, and it's gonna be a horror movie and creepy as hell, you know. And so, I mean, who knows? People do weird things at weird times of the year.
Yeah,
it's about Krampus.
Yes, but he's not. Yeah, they were gonna call it Krampus, but nobody was gonna know.
Something else.
Yeah, nobody was gonna know what it was, what that was, and so
that's the subject. Krampus.
But yeah, that's what it's about. Is Krampus. Really weird.
Well, there's really not much to say about Sandman because there's very little known. I don't know if Joseph Gordon-Levitt is confirmed as he was either going to be directing it or producing it, maybe even starring in it. We're going to get a little information on that right now. So it's in very early stages. I mean, as is everything with the exception of Batman versus Superman that we're saying. So there's not going to be a lot of information on this, but look for this to happen because we've been speculating ever since they got Joseph Gordon-Levitt on the WB-DC side and The Dark Knight Rises. They want to hold on to an actor like that. So don't be surprised if they say, okay, well, we'll let you direct this or star in it or something just to keep him from going over to Marvel. Because for a while he was rumored to be Ant-Man, and Marvel has been trying to get their hands on him. So that's why I think the Sandman thing is definitely going to happen, just so Marvel can't get him and they can keep him on DC WB.
That would make sense.
Yeah. Okay, so then I'm going to bring it on over to the next film on the list, which is, of course, the granddaddy of them all, Justice League.
Yeah.
Which, we've talked, there's still nothing new to say about this. I mean, the whole point of this whole thing is that they're saying that possibly at Comic-Con, this is what DC and Warner Bros. Are going to bring to show. They're going to come out there and be like, we're doing this, and we're doing this, and then we're doing this, and just going to bring out like their entire Justice League cast on the stage and stuff. Like,
right.
That's the rumor, is that they've already cast all these people, and they're saving it for Comic-Con to just because they don't want Marvel to show them up.
Yeah.
And honestly, they don't have to do much right now because nothing that's coming from Marvel now is a secret anymore.
Yeah.
I think we already know what they're going to talk about when they show up. So all DC has to do is show up and be like, bam, here's a clip from Batman versus Superman.
Right. I mean, the only thing they could really that I could foresee Marvel doing is just confirming, yes, we're going into the Infinity Gauntlet.
Right.
You know, which everybody has kind of already figured that out. They just, and Marvel just hasn't gone, blah, yes, that's what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, in my mind, nothing is ever going to be when Loki came out for Thor: The Dark World and did that presentation at the beginning of the Marvel. Oh God, that was so awesome. And you could tell he was having fun with that. But I mean, yeah, unless Marvel's planning something cool like that where one of the actors shows up in costume, all they've got to do is go, yep, it's Justice League. Here's what we're doing. Here's the whole cast.
Yeah.
They don't even have to put them in costume. You know, just march them out on the stage and Merry Christmas.
Just roll out
That's
these
it.
titles, some title sequences, a couple screenshots or something, you know, and they'll win Comic-Con. Even though, you know, I'm one of those people who still feel like they haven't earned a Justice League film yet, and maybe I'll feel differently after watching Batman vs Superman, but I don't know.
We shall see.
I don't know. We shall see. Once again, not much to talk about that. You know, they're aiming at May 2017 for that. Sounds realistic, but there's going to be a lot of battles because looking at this, you know, DC seems like they're going for 3 movies a year. Marvel's currently doing 2, so they're obviously trying to catch up.
And they're also, if you notice the release dates, I mean, you've got May for Batman v Superman in 2016, and then 2 months later, Shazam, and then 6 months later, Sandman, and then another 5 months later in 2017, May, July, Christmas. May, July, Christmas. That's kind of their pattern here. If these, you know, loose dates are confirmed. So we're looking at May 2017 Justice League, and then the one that I'm really interested to see, and not just because I'm a girl, July 2017 Wonder Woman, because I know I've been very on the fence with the casting of Gal Gadot. There's been a lot of people, of course, all the stock photos that everybody's been using to say, look, this is who Wonder Woman's going to be, has been these modeling shots, super skinny,
of course they would use those.
Super touched up, super photoshopped, you know, let's shop in a thigh gap, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I really, you know, especially when they were talking and tried to do, bless their dear sweet poor little hearts, the Wonder Woman series. I can't think of her name right now, but she was in Legend of the Seeker, which was a TV series.
Talking about the actress at the
the actress that was in
was Adrienne Palicki.
No, that's who was actually was actually cast as Wonder Woman. But the one that I wanted to see him do was, she was part of Legend of the Seeker, which was based off of a book, really cool book series. And she was just the girl that played God, I can't even think of her name. My brain is just Bridget Regan. She played Kaylin Amnell in there, and she was badass. She could move, she could fight, like the choreography within the fight scenes of the show were really, really great. She executed them really, really great. She could really move, and so that I really wanted to see her as Wonder Woman. I think she would have done really, really well. She's pretty tall.
Well, apparently, you're not the only person I thought that.
Yeah, there was a lot of people who were going, no, this should have been her, and I think it would have gone over a lot better. I mean, of course, obviously, there was a lot that was to be said for the writing in that series, which is why it never made it past pilot. But I think Bridget Regan would have been great. Yeah. So.
Well, we've got Gal Gadot now, so people have to kind of accept that.
Yeah.
And I think the most interesting thing, though, about this Wonder Woman film in July 2017 is that it's going to take that long. You know, like we're going to get her in Batman vs Superman and in Justice League before she gets her own film. So are they going to hold off that long to give us a real origin story for her? And until then, it's just going to kind of be like flashbacks or like her just like exposition of her talking, you know, like that's the weirdest thing about this to me.
I don't think that especially with it coming after Justice League, I don't see that we're gonna have as much of an origin story for her. Maybe until, you know, they do the standalone movie. I don't think we're going to get a whole lot in Justice League or Batman v Superman.
And that's what's
from
weird about
her.
it to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't know. Because some of these, they're throwing in all these cameos of all these people in Batman v Superman, without origin stories, and we're going to know who they are, but they just randomly pop up. It's not like you have the building like you did with Iron Man and Hulk and Thor,
Yeah.
It's I think some of them are just going to show up and be there, and we're just going to have to proceed from there, kind of like we did with Hawkeye and
Black Widow?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. This is something that we talked about on previous episodes, just from the beginning, DC was like, their plan has, ever since the Avengers came out and made so much money, their plan has been, how can we get to Justice League as fast as possible?
Right.
And I've always felt like that was a terrible way of approaching it, but it's probably still going to make a ton of money because most people won't worry about that. Casual moviegoers won't care necessarily that they didn't get all of this built up from each specific character and all that. So once again, they're trying to fast track it on in the Justice League territory, and we're just going to have to see how that turns out. Now, with that being said, once again, assuming that all this is true, I'm just excited that there would even be a Wonder Woman film, even if it came in 2017.
Agreed.
I'll still be in there and watch it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then following that, Christmas in 2017, they're not going to do an individual Flash and Green Lantern. It's going to be both together, team up, Christmas, red and green, as Jesse pointed out to us earlier when we were chatting before the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Red and green, the colors of Christmas.
Yeah.
Which I can't remember what line that movie's from.
This, it makes sense. The more you start to break down the potential ideas for something like this, the more it starts to make sense that they would combine these two together because, some people may disagree, but I don't really think that either one of them have the ability to necessarily stand on their own in their own big budget movie right now because, for one thing, we tried that with Green Lantern and it was a fail.
Well, I think that had more to do with the actor, but that's just my 2 cents. Don't get me wrong. I like Ryan Reynolds. I really, really do. Yes, there was something to be said for some of the writing, but I think it was an execution issue on some of that.
Yeah, I'm like the opposite. I think the problem with that movie was like the story, the directing, the editing.
There was don't get me wrong, there was a lot of that too, and I really think he tried to make the best of a not so great situation, but I don't know, just
I didn't have a problem with him. I always thought Ryan Reynolds was just an odd choice for Hal Jordan anyway. Not that I knew Hal Jordan that well,
right?
But Ryan Reynolds has always been more of a Flash or somebody
or Deadpool,
to me.
The funny
if you
Deadpool.
go for the Marvel, yeah.
Yeah.
Which he is also Deadpool, so
right.
They're still
but not
talking
in
about
the fun
making
way. They need to do it in the fun way.
Well, they've been trying to get an R-rated version. That's why they're having such a hard
you
time,
really have to.
is they're trying to do it R-rated and everything, and they're having a little problem with that. But it would be nice to see that surface somehow. Which who owns Deadpool right now? Fox does.
Yeah.
Fox still does. So.
Well, do they really? Because I know in the Wolverine movie, not the Wolverine, but the X-Men Origins Wolverine, when they had him in there, they never actually called him Deadpool. Not under that name. So does Fox actually have the Deadpool rights? Or did they? Because I think they called him Project X or something like that.
Like in
the movie.
They referenced him as the Deadpool. I think.
See, I don't.
Stryker was saying something about the Deadpool. Like I remember him saying that.
We're gonna have to go back and watch that.
Yeah, no, but I'm pretty sure that's a Fox property because he's so tied into X-Men in a lot of different ways because he's a mutant. And they pretty much own anything that has to do with mutants. Fox does.
Right.
So yeah, we're looking at a little Venn diagram, and Deadpool falls in the 20th Century Fox section. That's awesome that someone actually made
that. And there's like people in there that like I've never even heard of, and I'm like what?
Yeah, and it's looking at that is exactly right. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are in between because of, once again, they're mutants, so Fox owns that part, but the names and everything Marvel can still use.
Right.
So yeah. But,
they also fall into the Avengers storylines as well,
and
so
why.
they have to play with both.
Yeah.
So.
But regardless of what you think about Ryan Reynolds, or regardless of what I think about, the direction of the film, the fact of the matter was it was a critical failure, and it was pretty much a financial disappointment too. So it's not a surprise that they're just not going to be like, giving him a sequel, and I'm expecting them to just completely recast Green Lantern.
Yeah, that would make sense.
John Stewart, please.
Yes. I would much rather see John Stewart.
Like
much.
Some people are like, oh, it's got to be Hal Jordan, but I feel like Hal Jordan had it shot already. Yeah. Okay, and if you want to get some diversity in this Justice League, you've got a black superhero right there, and there's not many of them. Okay,
right.
So let's get John Stewart in there. Maybe I can play him. I don't know. But they were talking about.
I mean, you've already done Bishop. I mean, why not?
Right? I will take on the role of every single black superhero ever, because there's only like 6 of them.
Right.
And I will find a way to get in there.
Black Panther, Blade,
right.
Luke Cage, Dagger. Who else we got in here?
Not many. If you want to count John Stewart, and some people probably wouldn't even count Bishop, because they're like, Bishop's not like, he doesn't have his own. Well, he did have his own comic.
Yeah.
But he's just not that recognizable. The most recognizable one is probably Black Panther.
Now the Human Torch.
Yeah, now.
Well, thank goodness for that.
Yeah,
War Machine.
Yeah, the
Deadpool could be black.
Yeah,
He's covered.
We don't know.
Man-Thing could be a black actor. Hulk could be a black actor.
Well,
the most recognizable would probably be
Form.
Blade.
Yeah, look for them to be experimenting a lot more with race, though, with some of these characters that are less popular and can stand to use some diversity, like John Stewart. Now, the other half of this is Flash. Of course, it's going to have his own TV show coming out now, so there's going to be a lot of interesting things to see what happens in terms of, maybe them considering making that show a part of the film universe and getting Grant Gustin to play it. I still don't think it's going to happen, but it depends on how popular that show gets.
I mean, and if you're looking at it already, I mean, just from the hype, it's going to be big. And I mean, they're pulling a lot especially since it was introduced through the Arrow universe, and done so well through the Arrow universe, that's currently on the CW. I think it has a whole lot of potential to be really, really good.
Yes.
I was very apprehensive, and I think I said this the last time we talked about this on the podcast, but I was very apprehensive when they cast Grant Gustin, because the only thing that I had seen him in was Glee. But once I actually saw the episode where they introduced him as Barry Allen on Arrow, I was convinced, absolutely convinced. And I'm really, really, I've decided I'm having a watch party at my house.
And you're all invited. So fly on down to Louisiana, and we'll all hang out.
Yeah. If you're Grant Gustin, you are invited to my house. Absolutely. Bring Stephen Amell with you. It'd be awesome.
But I guess the main point here is that neither of these characters are at this point in time strong enough for Warner Bros. To have enough faith in them to have their own individual movies, at least based on this, assuming that it's accurate.
Right.
And I think it's a good idea. I mean, why not just take 2 of these people and team them up? And you could even do more of these in the future. You can just start taking like 2 or 3 of the Justice League members and letting them do one movie somewhere else in the world or the universe, and then having the other people do something, and then they can all come back together and have Justice League 2 and everything. So that is a good idea in my eyes. I mean, it's still kind of interesting that they would pair those 2 together.
Right.
But I can see why.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll see, I think it stands to reason that they'll both be in Justice League.
Yeah.
Just based on this. But that would mean we get no introduction to Flash or Green Lantern until the Justice League film, unless they squeeze them into Batman versus Superman somewhere too, which is a bit much. So that means we're getting 2 more characters that are going to have to try to be developed somehow in a 2-hour span of time in that film. not including everyone else who.
Well, I mean, they're already throwing in a shit ton of cameos. Key roles. I mean, according to the source, the film delay for Batman v Superman back to May 2016 was to give the studio more time to line up actors and actresses for key future roles, and so that's going to be teased with cameo appearances in Batman v Superman. Are we saying that, are they saying that all of these people are going to show up at one point in Batman v Superman? I mean, that would be an entire, hey, let's go up to the Hall of Justice and just walk around. Hey, what's up, yo?
Yeah.
No,
but, we don't want to do that.
No, not so much. But I mean, and who's to say that, some of these won't be cameos for Justice League? Because I mean, a lot of the studios now, they're starting to film some of this stuff back to back to back to back to back, just to go ahead and get it done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, which would make sense with the type of timeline that they're creating here for 3 movies a year.
Right.
So, to immediately wrap one and jump into another one, maybe take 2 or 3 weeks off and then jump into the next one. So, I mean, it's possible.
Okay. Yeah. Good points. So we're going to move on to the final film listed on here, which I think most people have kind of. I didn't even once they announced. Okay, and of course this is May 2018. Man of Steel 2 is the film we're talking about.
Right.
Once they decided that Batman versus Superman was, because in the beginning it was like, okay, it's Man of Steel 2, but Batman's going to be in it, and then it slowly started to turn into, wait, it's a little less about Superman now, and then it became Batman versus Superman. But now they're saying that they're still going to make a Man of Steel 2. Right. Which I'm happy about. I wish we were getting that first. I'm not going to lie. I still do. Because I still don't feel like I know this Superman very well. And I would like to spend a little more time with him first. So that it's really exciting to see him team up with Batman. Because to me, we're getting a Superman that I hardly know. And a Batman that I don't know at all. And I'm supposed to get excited about seeing them team up. I mean, I will be because of the comics. But in terms of like, me spending time with Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne and Batman, and me spending time with Henry Cavill as Superman, Clark Kent, and then watching them come together, it won't be the same feeling as I got in like the Avengers.
Right. And the crazy thing is I'm almost positive I saw something somewhere where in Man of Steel 2 they're talking about going into the Death of Superman storyline, which would be, unless they throw Superman somewhere in all of these other movies other than just Justice League. I mean, that's awful quick. Now, don't get me wrong, that was a great story arc. That was a great comic book. I've read it a couple of times. My husband had it, and I've picked it up, over and over again. But that's really soon to just jump into that story arc. So I would hope that's a figment of my imagination, and they're not doing that. But who knows?
Because for them to be jumping that far ahead with something, it's like you're assuming that we're going to be that attached to Superman enough for his death to impact us.
Right.
And right now, I'm not. But we've got 2 other films with him in it since then.
At least
2 other films, right? At least with a ton of other characters in there too.
Right.
So if you want to go that route, wait for Man of Steel 3
to
try to kill him off, because I want to spend an entire movie with Superman first, and hopefully that'll be Man of Steel 2.
Yeah.
But don't be surprised if they throw someone in there like, well, we got to put Arrow in there somewhere, or I don't know, just someone else that they haven't introduced yet.
Right.
And all this talk, there's no talk of Arrow anywhere. Now, will they throw him in Justice League? We don't know. Well, they may just ignore him completely.
Yeah, if they're not going to put him in Justice League and have him as a main active character, have a moment where they're at, the Hall of Justice or the floating, I can't remember what the floating thing was called. God, my brain just sucks.
Is it Watchtower or no?
Yeah, Watchtower. Yeah. Have him walk down the hall. Somebody like, hey man, what's happening? Let Stephen Amell walk through. Yeah. That's my dream.
It's so tricky though. Like
I know.
With him, it's so tricky because
Amell would be down for it. He'd be like, they'd be like, you want to just come walk through and do a cameo? He's like, yeah.
And not only that, it would kind of save them the trouble of having to establish him because there's this TV show already.
Exactly.
So if they just threw him in the movie for 20 minutes, then it'd be a little bit more okay, because if you watch the show, you already know his story. But then if you don't, well, then you don't know his story. So then that becomes weird too.
Yeah.
So it'll be.
But it
interesting to
gives
see.
you an incentive to go watch the Arrow series, which is on the CW, and it's freaking awesome.
True. I mean, they could use it as just another marketing thing to get people to go watch Arrow. Be like, okay, he's going to be in this film. If you're not familiar with him,
But then
here's
if
the
they
entire
did that,
series in HD on Netflix.
if they did that though, then they would have to use Grant Gustin as Flash.
And
That's the only thing. And like I said, I think the Flash TV series is going to be great. I think it has great potential. Everything that I've seen so far, with the build up and everything, looks freaking amazing. The trailers that they've done for it, which included Stephen Amell and his character Green Arrow, Oliver Queen, have been awesome. So it would really be cool if they took it in that direction, but logically, do I really see it happening? Probably not.
Yeah,
I have my fingers crossed, but I don't see it happening.
We talked about this before, and then I was making a point that the problem with bringing those guys in would be having to also include their world and bringing in their other characters,
right?
And Felicity and Diggle, and I mean, yeah, they could always find a way to just be like, well, they're just not around. I mean,
right?
But it's a hard thing to get into and work your way out of successfully. So like you said, if they bring him in and Flash is a success, and they also bring him in, but it's very hard for me to see them doing that right now.
Right.
Because they'll be like, well, these guys are good, but whoever's directing those films are going to want their own actors. They're not going to be worried about, it's like, well, whoever directs that Flash movie or whatever might be like, I don't want Grant Gustin. You guys hired me to direct the film.
Yeah.
I feel like this actor will be better at it. And then they'll just go with that if that's what the director wants to fight for,
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, what they could do, depending on where it's set in the DC timeline, it could be an older version of Barry Allen.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that would make sense, use the Flash television series as its own Smallville, as it were, and this is Flash and Green Lantern later on in years. But once again, that all depends on where they set the timeline for Batman v Superman, Justice League, Shazam, Wonder Woman, everything else. I
think for those characters like Flash and especially Green Arrow, like you said, it would be a good idea for them to just take them years after. And like if Stephen Amell shows up, he has like the full beard and everything like Green Arrow has.
Yeah, they've aged him a little bit.
Because
and all that kind of stuff.
Otherwise, and I mentioned this before, if all that stuff takes place in the same universe, then why haven't we heard about Superman on Arrow? Why haven't you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Unless none of that has happened yet. Unless Arrow's story took place way before Superman showed up.
Right.
Or something like that. They can always find a way. It'd be challenging.
Right.
But we just watched Days of Future Past, and they managed to pull off a lot of shit in that.
Right.
So,
hello.
There's a lot of things that can be done to try to make that work somehow.
Yeah. All right, so that kind of covers all of the DC movie rumors. And while we're talking about Arrow and Flash, CW did come out with their fall lineup this week. They have Flash will actually be on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Arrow will be on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., which, I don't know, I'm kind of torn between, because at 9 p.m. on Wednesday nights, we've got The 100, which had started this past year. Flash on Tuesday nights, I believe that's two different shows. I'm trying to pull it back up real quick. But we're going to get Flash October 7th will be the series premiere. Arrow will be Wednesday, October 8th, 8 p.m., which of course is Eastern time, so 7 p.m. for us here in Central time. I would have liked to have seen them put them both on the same night. That's just me, but I don't know. I mean, in some ways, television marketing-wise, they want ratings. They want ratings for more than one night.
Exactly.
They want you to watch their shows consistently. But I don't know. maybe it's just me because I just want to gorge on all of it all in one night and just be done with it. So, but I'm super excited. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, we'll be I'll be tuning in to looks like we got an email.
We got an email. Hooray!
Sorry.
Yeah, we got distracted.
We will be tuning in to both shows. I'll
Absolutely.
be watching. I already watch Arrow. We'll be watching Flash. If you want, okay, we kind of threw this out before. If we get enough demand, and anyone wants to hear a Flash podcast, let us know. Okay.
Heck yeah.
But it's got to be a lot of demand.
Yes.
All right. So if you want to hear that, let us know, because now would be a good time for us to start figuring all that stuff out if we were going to do it. All right.
And come up with a really cool name.
Also, Gotham. Thinking about doing one for Gotham.
Yeah.
Once again, let us know. The demand has to be there, though.
Right.
Because I'll be doing like 19 podcasts, and that's a lot. But if the demand is there,
heck yeah,
we'll find a way to make it happen.
This is my only one so far. I have no life.
Okay, so we got an email, and we're going to go through this pretty quickly because we weren't expecting this, and we kind of need to wrap up. But let's see. We got an email here. The subject line says new Predator film directed by Shane Black. It's from Nightmare 0684. Hey guys, also known as Kyle. Hey guys, so Shane Black, director of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and Iron Man 3 and Hawkins from the original Predator film, is directing a new Predator sequel. Any thoughts on that? Or do you think Robert Rodriguez should have been able to continue Predators with Royce, Adrian Brody, and Isabel Alice Braga? Love the show. Kyle, thank you so much.
Thanks, dude.
You know, we actually talked a little bit about that before we started the episode, about possibly addressing that, and we decided not to. But since you asked, we can talk about it. So Predator is being, it's not really a reboot. I believe they're saying it's more of a sequel. And Shane Black has kind of left a bad taste in my mouth with Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but other than that, his track record is not that bad. So I'd be willing to get excited about him being attached to that. And I am excited about them bringing Predator back. The last things we got was, like you said, the Predators film, and then Alien versus Predator, and neither of those were very good. Predators was tolerable, but it was such a small scale thing with the survivors being on the island, and there's so much more they can do with that, especially if they're going to pick up with the storylines that they've already established with Predator 1 and Predator 2. So I think it's a cool idea. Once again, Shane Black, I don't know. I don't know. But more than anything, I'm interested to see what can be done that's new here. I don't want to see Predator in the jungle hunting people anymore, because we've seen that. Okay. Yeah. We've seen an actual jungle, we've seen an urban jungle, and in Predators we saw a jungle again, which is basically an island. And in that movie, if I'm remembering this correctly, they kind of played around with the idea that one of these Predators could actually kind of sort of, like, they can kind of be good guys in a way.
Yeah, I want to say that was Alien versus Predator.
Oh, was it?
Yes, because there was like one woman left alive, and she's like, "Look, you help me, I'll help you. We'll get the heck out of here."
That was and one thing I kind of liked about
the Predator was like, "All right,
sure,
I can see you're kicking butt over here. Yeah. Fine, I'll make you one of us. Here's weird paint on your face or something."
Yeah.
I don't know. I did see that. Look, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I am a huge chicken. I don't watch scary movies because I will have nightmares for days. I watched the first Saw movie. Very bad. Watch The Ring. Holy crap. I was seeing people I knew just with their face distorted and everything. So I'm a huge chicken. So I don't typically watch movies like this, especially stuff like Alien. Predator's not quite as bad, but I did watch Alien versus Predator, I think probably because my husband made me. And I didn't find it to be that scary. It was decent. I mean, it wasn't as bad as Freddy versus Jason. I can say that I watched that one with the lights on, but I did watch that one, and it was bad. It was very bad. And it was really more funny than anything. But I found it to be fairly decent, and it brought in, they kind of I don't want to say humanize the Predators, but within that whole thing where, the Predator identifies with the woman and they're
Yeah.
making their way out and what have you. It was pretty good. I liked it for what it was.
Yeah, that's one thing I can take away from those AVP films that I kind of liked, just because it was new.
Yeah.
Like to try to kind of spin around a Predator and make them sort of an anti-hero. Like I want to see not necessarily that again, but just something new. And Shane Black has been quoted as calling this an inventive sequel. So
Yeah.
that makes me feel better about it, hearing that, because I want there to be some invention. I want there to be something new. Let's take it in a different area. Let's do something different with the Predators. Let's show how different
But if the
they are.
predators are hunting, I mean, where else are they going to go? Where do you hunt? You hunt in the woods. You hunt in the jungle. You hunt in an urban jungle.
Well,
I mean,
that's
where
what I'm
else
saying
are you
here.
really going to? Because that's what predators do. They hunt.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
where else are they going to be?
Well, I don't know.
Put them in a
That's the thing.
labyrinth in ancient
That's-
Greece? I mean, I don't know.
I think that's the job that he has ahead of himself, is to
Yeah.
find a new approach for it.
Right.
And these people get paid a lot of money, so they better
Hello.
they're going to have a whole room full of people sitting down hashing this kind of stuff out.
Right.
So hopefully out of that comes something good. I am optimistic about it. I don't necessarily, I haven't been just like clamoring or pining for a Predators reboot or anything.
Right.
But why not? It's always been a very cool character, but it's always difficult because they don't talk, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And it's like they talk to each other and they're whatever
And
language.
there's
but-
only so much expression that you can give them because they're
Right.
in this full facial mask, which
Yeah.
I think during AVP they cracked that open and you saw some of that.
Mhm.
But I mean, you still only have so much facial expression, and they click. They don't talk.
yeah. So it's always been a weird property, and a very risky property, but it's cool to see that someone with that amount of power, so to speak, in Hollywood, such as Shane Black, is going to be involved in this, and it makes it seem like it'll get a much more professional treatment than the AVP movies got.
And he's written a lot of action movies. I mean, one of my
Yeah.
favorite action movies is The Long Kiss Goodnight. I don't know why, but I love that movie.
Mhm.
And he wrote on that one. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how they can spin it.
Yeah, totally. So we are optimistic, Kyle. So thank you a lot for your email. Once again, if you want to email us any questions, you can email us at geeklydose@gmail.com. There are also other methods.
You can hit us up on Twitter at AwesomePods.
Yes, so I think that about does it for this episode of Geekly Dose. Remember, we do stream these live now on YouTube, so if you want to keep up with that and you know exactly when we're going to do it and everything, you need to head over to facebook.com/awesomepods, give that page a like, and then when we find out, you'll find out because we'll post it. We'll let you know the time so you can tune in, and that way you can catch all the bonus and the trailer overdoses, and you can see what we look like and whether or not my hair is visible or not that day. Probably would never be. I wear a lot of hats now.
You've always worn a lot of hats.
Well, I had the long hair for years, so
Yeah.
I wore a lot less hats.
I may have less hair next time we record.
See, these are the kind of things that you get to see. Like Caitlin has blue hair right now.
It's blue.
If you want to see it, come on over. Jesse's in here. He's been really quiet this episode, but he also looks really exhausted. So we're going to get out of here so he can get some rest. So thank you guys once again. You can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/Tim Bridgewater. Also Tim Bridgewater 2. I can direct you to a lot of things if you're interested in hearing more and seeing more of me and the things that I have done and do.
And catch me on Twitter. I'm Oriona, ORIONA75 on Twitter if you want to hit me up. I'm not on there very often, but it is there. You can also catch me if you play any Blizzard games. You can catch me on Battle.net, Oriona, #1318. Currently kind of playing through Priest on the Alliance side, chilling out, trying to get geared. So.
Cool. And we usually can't tell you what the next thing is we're going to talk about the next episode because of the schedule, but I think it's safe to say we're going to finally get our E3 episode in.
Yeah, going to work out the kinks.
You will still get to hear our thoughts on that, and we will have that huge surprise for you that I just can't wait to reveal. But until we get that worked out, we don't know exactly when that's going to be, but look for it sooner than later. Once again, awesomepods.com website. We have that You want to go and like all those pages so you can keep up with us and you know exactly what's going on.
Yep.
So I think that about does it for this episode of Geekly Dose, everyone. Oh, I just remembered we have other podcasts on the network, don't we?
We do have other podcasts on the network. We have 80s Revisited, which I can't really say right now. What else do we have?
Well, active right now. Republic City Report, my other podcast, will be active as of in a couple days. So that'll be returning. Duo Attack has plenty of episodes up. It's a HeroClix podcast. So if you're looking to get into HeroClix, there's still lots that you can learn from the episodes that are up now. So go back and check that out. There's also a trivia podcast called Why Don't You Know This? It's not really active now, but once again, plenty of episodes up for you to enjoy. There's also the Jesse Sedgley podcast, which is just Jesse just interviewing people in his life. There's an episode with me on there, so if you want to hear me talk for an hour and a half about my life and a lot of things that I've done, that's up there. So there's a lot there. Once again, awesomepods.com. There's lots of things there, and there'll be lots more in the future. So thank you guys for all your support.
And if you want to just listen to the podcast, if you catch it while you're working, while you're playing something else, you can catch us on iTunes, you can catch us on the Stitcher app, or if you dual screen like I do, you can just throw it up on YouTube.
That's right. There's a lot of different options now. Too many for me to remember alone. That's why I have a co-host. Thank you.
That's why I'm here.
Okay, anyway, until next time, guys, for Geekly Dose, I'm Tim Bridgewater.
Caitlin Franks.
Jesse Sedgley.
Thank you, guys, and see you next time for your next dose.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye-bye, sweet YouTube.
We forgot the outro music.
There's no outro.
I thought we had outro music.
He always adds it after that.
Oh. Yeah. Kyle's one of my WoW buddies.